Hi, this is Jim Cooper with Cooper Sharpworks. My wife and I have recently taken over the marketing for the Precise Ride machine. Previous to that, everything else was handled at our house in North Texas. So with addition to manufacturing and drop shipping and all the stuff that was done, we're now going to handle the training videos and documentation and bring some information out about this product. Make sure it's getting used right. Make sure you're getting value for your money. And also, just a quick little introduction about what the machine even does. Why would you need one? So the premise is, when somebody says, "Oh, I bought a Precise Ride," they're going, "Oh yeah, that's for doing curved shears." Yeah, pretty much that is the primary objective of this tool. Everybody knows how to use their stones. They have flat shear and everybody's good with that, and you're in a situation where everything's just great, no problem. Then you come full circle to that. Well, obviously you can't do anything with that on a flat stone. So lots of different methods have been created to try to deal with that. Some of them pretty good, and a lot of you creative folks out there have made it work. It's not an easy thing to make work well because it's a highly accurate edge, and it's a situation where without having something to register that edge, freehanding isn't the best, but we got a lot of good freehanders out there, so somebody's making things work that are well beyond my capabilities. So I thought about, what are you going to do? How are you going to handle this? A guy makes this shear. He's at the factory. More than likely, he makes it flat and then puts a ride line on it. It's all looking great. Everything's good. Then he bends it. So there never was really a tool at the factory that was made to sharpen that ride line. And if there were, it would be a heavy production unit kind of thing. Not probably available to us, but it doesn't matter anyway, because my understanding is that it's flat shear that was bent, so the ride line was put on when it was flat. So it doesn't help us. All right, so we have to come up with a way to do it, and I could show you how we use this tool to do it. But let me give you the lowdown on what comes in the box real quick, so you'll understand what the idea is. Normally, the old way we used to do it would be we would take one of these three little pucks I'm going to turn this over so you can see what I'm doing. And we would clamp it down. I'm going to show you the rest of the process after I describe the pucks and the clamping process. There is a reason why we're clamping it at the handle. It's a relatively obvious reason if you bother to think about it for a second, and it's the cornerstone of why this machine even works at all. Well, the problem is that's really slow to do. A lot of guys were taking the larger one, just lifting it up and slipping the shear in kind of like that. That's a great idea, and it worked too. You could really get this clamp down way more than you think you can. But this is better. Recently there's been a video showing how to take this one and cut a slot to make a quick change clamp. It's a great idea. I thought that the machine needed that. So what I ended up doing was designing one with a keyhole slot. Not sure if you can see that, but it's shaped like a keyhole. The idea is this. My tensioner nut's still on there. I'm able to slip the shear over the tensioner nut. And then I'm able to use the keyhole slot so that I don't have to take the whole nut off there every time I want to do another part of a shear. Super cool, works good. Now, why did I even bother with that? What are we doing here? This part of the scissor, this J hook, and this is a beater, I can see. That's all right. That's not what it's about. What this is about is trying to explain what the geometry is and what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is we're trying to register that J hook in such a manner that it can't wiggle, it can't stray, so that we can make a pass up the ride line with a consistent geometry. All you have to do that is flatten it down on where you're going to put your paper, tighten this bag knob. Then you're in a situation where it's going to work absolutely straight, and you don't have to wonder, is it wiggling or the like. Now granted, this is a wood box. You look at it, it's basically a 3D printed arms. There's plastic involved, but it's a lot more than that. There's a lot of design that went into that. For instance, like right in here, these are Delrin Engineering plastic inserts. I have those laser cut. The box is laser cut. These are cut to keep the pipe inserts from tearing up the box or whatever else you might put in between here. This mechanism right here runs on linear rods. Has some pretty high end bushings and bearings in it and everything. There is very little slop in this clamp. There's thrust washers in the middle of these things. Effectively, it's the same kind of clamp that you would have on any of your flat homes. I just kept the price of manufacturing it down so that I didn't have to charge so darn much. One of the few things that anybody has ever mentioned is the accuracy of this device. It works. It's not wiggly, it's not messy, it just works. So I'm gonna move on from there and talk a little bit about some other things that people like and dislike. Next complaint. Normally we get a lot of people saying, well, I don't want to use PSA paper, it's messy, I can't get it off or whatever. That's a little rubbing alcohol and water. I'm just cleaning this up. There's a couple of ways you can handle it. It's really not that difficult. The general idea is if you do just a little bit of WD-40, put your pressure sensitive on there. Then when you want to put your next grid on, it's not as stuck as it would be normally. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is 1000 grit. I just want you to get an idea of, what the concept is. Honestly, as you can see, there's probably not a reason to take this off and use the other pipe deals. The original concept was that we wanted you to be able to move through multiple grits if you wanted to. Some people use 3 strips. I like that, but it really doesn't matter if you're able to strip down this paper in that amount of time. It really doesn't cause anybody any grief. So we may cut down on the amount of this and put dollars elsewhere into other pieces to make the machine a better value as we find them. For instance, this clamp is one of the ideas that is pretty common now to be able to do a quick change type of scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this ride line so maybe we can see some results. I did it once earlier, so you can see it, and you can also see that it's a terrible mess. So my expectations are not much. Keep in mind, this is a beater grooming shear that I just want to be able to give you an idea what the tool is supposed to do. So the J hook at the bottom is now exposed. The The reason why we want it exposed is because you can't do anything without being able to get to that area. If you clamp it here, you're going to take meat away from the scissor, the shear, and it has to be an equal amount of material that needs to come from here. So let me just line it up and we'll just take a pass at it. Set that J hook down here, hold it really tight with your finger, tighten this up really good, and I'm going to just take a couple of quick passes at it and see what we get. One more quick one. I'm hoping you can see this, but the dark area has been removed. Yes, this shear is not, perfectly suited to getting a new ride line. It's got bigger problems, but you can understand the premise and the fact that we held a registration point for this shear, and we were able to keep it for the length of the edge, and that's the main point. There are a couple of other things that I hear about when I hear about this machine. It's like, well, I can't use my favorite whatever kind of paper. I have to use PSA. You don't really have to. Not only can you normally just hold it there and work through it, get any paper you want. Nobody cares where you buy it. Nobody knows where you buy it. If you have your favorite brand or whatever, that's fine. I just put the slightest amount of Super 77 3M on this, and now you're in a good spot. In fact, if I were to take my two or three favorite different sandpapers and just put those horizontally across there, I could just move the clamping mechanism back and forth. Totally would work. It'd be a nice quick way to get the job done with the quick release clamp. You would be rapidly finished with your work. So that's kind of interesting. The other thing that I've heard too is that it's not possible to do a flat shear on this machine. Well, it's completely possible. The problem is nobody wants to throw that out there because that's just a big flame fest. Let's look at it this way. If you're doing a 5-inch salon shear, you have no need to use this tool to do that. But if you're doing a 10-inch grooming shear, curves, you certainly need to do that. But what about the straight shear itself? You guys have good tools like this, Normally, that shear hangs off the edge and has a lot more set. They're really painful to do. I've done them on this machine with perfect results. Again, your mileage may vary, but it's your tool. So dig in, grab your box of junk scissors, find out what it can really do. Don't believe the typical internet story. I tried it once, it didn't work, and I threw it under my desk or whatever. You're going to have to find out for yourself, because this is about making money, saving money, and fixing shears. One of the things I've heard, and I agree with it, and I disagree with part of it, is that you can take one little spot and fix it. What I agree is you can take and just work that one little area on the shear and clean up kind of a mess. You can work one area more than another, but you have to be cognizant of the overall set of the shear. If you remove too much material from one spot, you're going to create kind of a shallow spot, and then it's going to be iffy about your set. If you're talking about just a little bit of extra work somewhere to keep from having to work the whole ride line, I think that's probably acceptable. Most of you have sharpened long enough that you would know when it was reasonable and when it wasn't. But that's kind of the two biggies. I like the idea that yes, you can really do a little bit of cleanup in an area and get away with it. You don't want to do that heavily, but this notion that a flat shear won't work on this machine is just wrong. People are stating that simply because this method for a flat shear is a great method. So it's pointless if that's what you do and you have great stones and all that stuff to use the precise routing. So the last thing I want to get into is probably multi-usage. I got a great picture from a guy the other day, and I'm going to go look it up again and make sure I have his permission to talk about it. He already said I could, but to show it. But he had taken some C-channel aluminum and gone from here to here, and then he had purchased some small round stones that he drops in. So he doesn't even use the sandpaper method. He doesn't use the pipes. Hey, this is his jig. This is his registration point. It'll work the same way either way. We have people that have been using certain kinds of substrates, like different kinds of rods. There's no reason that if you can mount it in here and you can get it straight, you can certainly use it. So we have some new things coming out, and basically the idea is to keep you informed. We're doing retrofits right now. I've been sending out a number of these to people for free because I think it's important for the overall usability of the machine. And that doesn't mean that only the ones that I sold, or it's not about that. All the way back to the beginning of the machine, the new arms are blue, and that's just to kind of mark when I took over marketing, so that we understand what the time frame is. Doesn't mean anything. You're still covered under that original purchase. I don't have any problem, offering you anything that I would offer anybody else for this machine. Not only that, you deserve that. So, at any rate, the website is CooperSharpWorks.com. But the CooperSharpWorks.com site right now is in the middle of being built. All of this was kind of a big rush, so I just want to throw that out there. We will be having regular pay links and all the kind of stuff you can do, and maybe later some paid upgrades. But right now, I just want to get things cleaned up and back to normal for documentation and for training. So as soon as I'm done here, I'll be putting this up on YouTube. Right now, I don't have any real editing software. It's not a problem. I'm going to get that. I just felt it was important to get something out there pretty rapidly. This is not the ultimate training video, but it certainly is better than nothing. And I will be talking to you soon. Thanks.